Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Scry Syndrome. I'm Ben Gilman, and I wish I could live in a windmill. I'm joined by a man who can smell guilt in a man. He tells me it smells like dung on a donkey. It's Tom Hill.
Right.
And I'm also joined by a man who's... I'm also joined by a man whose love life would make a great play by Samuel Beckett. It's Dan Rudge.
You know nothing about my love life.
No, it's definitely an Alan Bennett play.
Alan Bennett play, I get. And unfortunately, we are not. It's a brilliantly conceived hoax. Troy Salmon is not here. He's not a real person. He's disappeared. He should be back next week. He does apologise. This evening we are here to discuss Jonathan Creek. It is a special. You have been warned. This is a fantastic show. Tom, take it away, please, or Dan, whichever one of you two wants to do it.
Do you want to take this down, or do you want me to take it?
I'll start, and then we'll just see how it goes.
I have no favourites. That's why I'm letting you guys fight it.
Yeah, no, go for it, man.
Jonathan Creek is one of those... It's incredibly British. It's incredibly British in the way that it is witty, like it's kind of almost got a spin of Oscar Wilde in it. It's incredibly British in that it rips off Sherlock Holmes. It's incredibly British in that it has this sort of middle ground between drama, thriller, and comedy. And it never quite falls into one category or another. But it has wonderful and strong elements of all three. It's a whodunit, featuring a guy who is just massively clever and is used to figuring out tricks for a stage magician, basically being the guy who makes up the stuff rather than the guy who gets the credit for the trick.
He's the organ grinder, not the monkey, yeah.
Yeah. And he does a regeneration after the first episode. It's amazing, and nobody notices. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say nobody notices, but yeah.
Basically, each episode revolves around the idea of there is an incredible case happening, and he's involved.
Yeah, it sort of revolves around the kind of cliche things of locked room mysteries and things like that, and the supernatural and lots of other things. And this character essentially just debunks all of it every time.
It's great.
It is. But I mean, it's created by David Renwick, who is just fantastic anyway.
True.
I mean, for those of you who don't know David Renwick's other stuff, his main thing that he's probably famous for, other than Jonathan Creek,
One Foot in the Grave.
would be One Foot in the Grave, correct? Which is an out-and-out comedy. So it gives you an idea, but it gives you an idea of the kind of tongue-in-cheek style.
But I don't believe that he did the same one. I don't believe it.
Oh, for God's sake.
Yeah, sorry, terrible. Sorry.
Oh, dear.
Also
Words fail me, Ben. Words fail me.
Also responsible for Whoops Apocalypse, which...
Great film!
Yes.
Did not realise he'd written Whoops Apocalypse. That shows you. It's one of my favourite films of all time. It's terrible, but it's brilliant.
It's wonderful because it's terrible. It's just... It's the kind of terrible you want to watch again and again.
You've obviously seen Whoops Apocalypse then.
Oh, yes.
So, just this is completely going off topic, but would you agree with me that the best thing about that film is Rick Mayall as the SAS leader?
Oh, well, not without a shadow of a doubt.
So good. Breaking into Madame Tussauds, wasn't it? Breaking into the Wax Museum.
Dear.
Oh, happy days. Didn't know that was David Renwick. There you go. My opinion of the man has gone even higher than it was before.
And it's a very high start already. It started in
Yeah,
1995.
No, Jonathan Creek started in 97.
1997, yes, thank you. And the original cast were together until 2000. Then 2000 with Caroline Quentin and Alan Davis, who I've really appreciated Alan Davis now because I'm going through a QI marathon right now. Oh, he's bloody brilliant, isn't he?
I think he's a fantastic actor, and he is a very quick wit.
Yeah,
he's fantastic. So and then series Christmas special season 4 was with Julia Sawalha. Thank you. Then the specials were with Sheridan Smith from 2009 to 2013.
No, you've missed an entire series there. You said Christmas special. Season 4 was Julia Sawalha.
Yeah.
Then they had three.
Yeah, thank you.
Then 3 specials with Sheridan Smith.
And Horseface comes back. It's Sarah Alexandra from
Will
Copland.
you stop insulting Sarah Alexander, for God's sake?
The human horse.
She's not a horse.
She's fucking gorgeous, and you know it.
You're in a
no, she's a good actress.
So back up.
Yeah, and it will keep going as far as I'm concerned. They've never. It's the last one was 2016, so it comes and goes whenever.
Yeah, it's unlikely they're going to do another one, but it's not impossible.
It's like with Sherlock, the door is open, like Luther as well.
The door is open, but from what I was reading about it, David Renwick seems, unlike with all his other shows, he's surprisingly reticent to let other people have a go at kind of making suggestions for Jonathan Creek.
Yeah,
it's very much his baby, and he won't let anyone else touch it. Is what I've read. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. I don't know David Renwick on a personal level, but that's what you hear, is that he's very sort of possessive of the Jonathan Creek thing, which is why it might never come back again.
I wanted to talk about Adam Klaus basically, because obviously everyone knows why Anthony Stewart didn't come back after the pilot is because Buffy took off and they couldn't get him back. My first question to you is, what do you think of Stuart Milligan's performance for the remainder of the run? How do you think he does? Because I think he's quite good, but I've heard some people don't like him so much. I think he's personally okay.
My big issue with him, and it might sound really weird, was I wasn't sure if he was actually American or not, because his accent seems to drop into English every now and then. He is actually an American who's just lived in London for a very long time.
Okay.
But, I wondered whether it was a hammy English actor trying to do an American accent was my only real issue with him. Otherwise, I think Anthony Head would have been fantastic. He had, even in the one episode you saw him, he had that sleazy showman thing down to perfection.
He's a bit of a grotty bastard, isn't he? He's a bit of a.
But that's the whole point of the character.
Would have been fantastic, but as if you are not judging against Anthony Head, then I have no issue with him. It's only
no, fair play. I'd agree with that, but unfortunately, you do slightly judge against Anthony Head purely because he was there first. But no, Stuart Milligan. I was kind of disappointed that he didn't appear in season 5 or the last special. I understood the reason why. It's because they changed kind of the setting for Jonathan Creek after season 4.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not even after season 4. They changed it sort of around the 3rd special after season 4. But I need to go into a bit more detail to explain. So basically, Jonathan Creek is the creative consultant to Adam Klaus. He lives in a windmill surrounded by weird kind of historical magic tricks and books on the trade from the mid 19th century, that kind of thing. And that's where he is for all of the first 4 seasons and 3 Christmas specials. And then you come back to him. The one they did, which I believe was the Savant's Thumb, which was the one they did before they decided to do a whole new series. they'd written it so that he had basically met Sarah Alexander's character, whose name is Polly, I think, and had become an executive at a company and had given up being a consultant for magic and all those kind of things. And I think one of the ways you have to kind of look at this show is through assistant isn't the right word. The partner is kind of the way you'd break up the show. So the original partner was Caroline Quentin, and she was very much the driving force between him being involved in these investigations.
Brash, loudmouth, in your face. Curiosity killed the cat. Too nosy for her own good.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't even know what she's done wrong that's caused a faux pas until about after she's done it. Am I painting an accurate picture?
You're painting a fairly accurate, but I would say
very sexually aggressive as well.
Yes.
She's the plausible liar as well, who doesn't have any trouble sneaking into close crime scenes.
Yeah,
also,
she
will
does
do what she needs to do. Yeah, she doesn't care. But I like that about her.
But what you'd have to say is kind of the way the character worked in terms of Jonathan Creek is for at least the first 2 seasons, the only reason he's involved in any of these things is because Maddie, Caroline Quentin's character, is investigating them.
Yeah.
By kind of the end of season 3, he's got a bit of a reputation for doing these things, which is how you're able to... Basically, Caroline Quentin, after the 3rd season, decided that she wanted to become a parent.
Yeah.
And went off to become a mother, which is absolutely fine. As she said, by the time she was ready to come back, Jonathan Creek had moved on. Basically, they weren't willing to wait for her. They didn't know how long she'd be on her hiatus for.
But they could bring her back. Apparently, according to an interview I read with her, she said that the producers haven't approached her about returning. No. I would love to see that.
I would love to see it as well. I would absolutely love to see Caroline Quentin back in it. But I also understand that Jonathan Creek, for those first 4 seasons, was a massive, massive show for the BBC. First series did all right numbers. Then it kind of it became like a cult following. And then season 2, season 3, season 4, the Christmas specials. And then you look at the specials of the last few years, are all big numbers. We're talking a minimum of 7 million viewers.
For this time, that's pretty good numbers, really.
So you can understand why the BBC and other people weren't willing to kind of put it on a potentially permanent hiatus for Caroline Quentin. Now, it's a shame that the character moved on, but I think they wrote it fairly well. They wrote the changeover very nicely. And then the moving on. So Caroline Quentin is the driving force behind why Jonathan Creek ends up in all these situations in the first few seasons. Then her character goes off to America for a book tour. And Jonathan Creek is having to, in the Christmas special, which Satan's Chimney, Jonathan Creek gets they're working with this American escapologist who his London agent is played by Julia Sawalha. And that's how she comes into the story and is involved in the next mystery for the Christmas special, which is fantastic, by the way. And then she becomes a TV presenter because she marries Adrian Edmondson, who's a TV producer and is flipping brilliant in Jonathan Creek, I might add. But she becomes the host of a TV show called Eyes and Ears, which is like Crime Watch, but for a younger demographic. And they get Jonathan Creek in to kind of be their specialist working with her. And there's brilliant sexual tension between him and Julia Sawalha. It's really well done. Okay. There's a lot of sexual tension between him and Caroline Quentin as well.
It's magical. I love the fact that they just get on with it. Like they get very close. I do love the bickering of the two. That's why I didn't want to go past season 3. I will eventually.
But the thing is, right, Julia Sawalha, her character is very different to Caroline Quentin, although once again a very strong, independent and strong-minded woman. But the relationship that she has with Jonathan is very different to the one that Caroline Quentin had, because it's almost like you know that she fancies him, but she's now married. And so it's like a forbidden thing where he's not even really trying to do anything with her. He's not trying his luck, but they're
Women
always
find
put
him
in
interesting.
situations. What?
Women find him interesting.
Yeah, but
That's
they're ridiculously kept getting put in situations where like they end up stuck in a cage together with her soaking wet, her clothes all soaking wet overnight
yeah.
because of something that one of the other people in the show has done. Guest appearance by Bill Bailey, I think it was. Yeah,
Okay. Got that
which
bit
is
of it.
plays a complete loser, but he's it's very good.
Mm.
And then you've got after that, well, Julius Owala didn't want to do another series, and they kind of went on hiatus for about 5 years. I think mainly because Alan Davis was doing QI, which is a massive show and probably took up most of his time.
Yeah.
And then they got Sheridan Smith in, and the good thing about that is they didn't try to make it a love interest thing between Sheridan Smith and him, because there was a pretty inappropriate age gap at this point. But she's like the new generation. She's an investigator and all these things, and she's good at puzzling things out and stuff like that.
And a fantastic actress.
She is. I mean,
actress.
you should watch the stuff that she did. She only did 3 specials with him: the Grinning Man, the Judas Tree, and the Savant's Thumb.
She's
all
in
of which
my.
are, gone.
She's in my favorite. I would say my favorite Inside Number 9 episode, as well. Yeah, she's got taken such a variety of roles, though.
Well, she's a fantastic actress, no denying.
She is. Yeah.
I mean, I think she started out in 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps. But even that, even that was funny enough. Not
She's
the same level as some of the stuff later. But yeah. So her character is fantastic, and she and Jonathan Creek have a kind of love-hate relationship with each other, in terms of he enjoys working with her, but he also hates her in many ways because she's like a younger version of him. But she's not as good as him because he manages to find things. Unfortunately, they introduced, with the Savant's Thumb, they also introduced Sarah Alexander as Jonathan Creek's wife.
Yeah.
And she does a very good job. She's kind of like, I suppose it's that cliche thing of a woman trying to change somebody into something they're not. And she's managed to do that with him for like 5 years, of making him be an executive and all those kind of things. Yet when Sheridan Smith comes calling with a mystery, he just can't leave it. And it's well done, but Sheridan Smith was unavailable to do season 5. When they decided to do a full 5th season, she was otherwise engaged. I think she was doing something on the West End, and so couldn't do the show. So they made, having already established Sarah Alexander as a character, they made that series work with her kind of being the sidekick, which was not as good in terms of the dynamic, because the thing about Caroline Quentin's character, the thing about Julius Walla's character and Sheridan Smith's character, was they all wanted to investigate for different reasons. Caroline Quentin was an investigative journalist. Julius Waller was doing it because it was part of her job. And Sheridan Smith, she was basically a young, trendy version of Jonathan Creek. So all of them wanted to be involved in these investigations, whereas one of the major things of Sarah Alexander's character is that she really doesn't. She kind of likes it a little bit. She enjoys some of the stories, but being physically involved in it is not something that she wants. Which made the 5th series a little bit more of a drag. But still not bad. I mean, we'll get on to sort of talking about all of that in a bit more detail, but yeah, I've spoken a lot about how I feel about this. Take over, Dan.
I wanted to make just one point in particular about. So we talk about TV shows in terms of how much we enjoy them.
Yeah.
And one of the factors that is so important in any form of media enjoyment is your suspension of disbelief.
Mm-hmm.
You're reading a book, you don't want to be so conscious that you are reading words on a page. You want to be able to get past that and start imagining the story. Yeah. If you're playing a computer game, you don't want to be aware that you are pressing buttons on a controller that are being inputted into a computer and you're seeing things on the screen. You want to be in the middle of Skyrim hunting down some hag raven.
You
Right.
and Skyrim.
I will.
Yeah.
Honestly, the obsession you have with Skyrim.
I
Right.
love-
Anyway, to the point.
Sorry,
Right.
that's
all
not
of
the
this
point.
requires suspension of disbelief. And
Yes.
Jonathan Creek is the example of how to do suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, I'd
Like,
agree with
so I can't think of it. I can think of things that equal it. I can't think of anything that beats it. It bats an absolute 100 on suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
Start to finish.
No,
So what?
explain that a bit more.
All of the characters, including his wife, have this level of you can sympathize with them. You can get engaged with them. You can really follow along what they're doing. And Jonathan Creek himself is almost for the exact same reason that he is surrounded by these women who are very interested in what he can do with his mind, if not with other parts of his body.
Yep.
For exactly the same reason you are drawn into his world, drawn into his processes, drawn into how he can figure all this stuff out and how it's going to go down. And you're drawn into trying to do the same thing. You're trying to be him while the episode is going on. And it completely, everything else is gone. You're not watching a TV show anymore. You're a freaking murder detective.
Yeah, it's true. Which, as you know, for me is one of the great joys of life.
But
So
also, it's
my-
not just a murder detective, it's a think outside the box.
Yeah.
Like, you know that this is going to be something which is ridiculous in execution.
I mean,
Sorry,
Okay.
Ben.
You're going, Ben?
it's all right. I'm trying to get my word in for 2
Yeah.
seconds. No, it's all right. I didn't want to interrupt you guys too much.
No, go for it, man.
I just want to quickly go through the first 3 seasons about the best cases and stuff before you guys take over and do the rest for me.
Fair enough.
You know, my personal one. What were your favorite? Like, they're not always locked rooms, but I would say some of my favorite cases are the one where she moves house and there's a dead body in the cupboard. That's brilliant. I didn't figure that one out.
What is that? The name of that episode will come to me. I know it. The reconstituted corpse.
Yes,
With the
I
woman
love-
who's had a shitload of plastic surgery and ends up murdering her plastic surgeon, who's also her ex-husband.
Yep, and I love the House of Monkeys because it's like legitly.
I was going to say House of Monkeys.
House of Monkeys is quality, I'll grant you.
Because I love the monkey suit. It doesn't. It looks like a real monkey. It's a guy in a suit, but you couldn't tell. But
Yeah.
I do love because they try and fake you out by focusing on the samurai armor.
Yeah.
So you think somebody got in there originally, and they quickly dismiss it. And it's a guy who got hallucinate drugs on a piece of paper on an envelope. That's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, it's genius.
I love it, and it can have fun as well. Mother Redcap is another good one.
Mother Redcap is a fucking genius of an episode.
Yeah.
Obviously done over. That's the one where the triads set up the dodgy alarm clock.
I also the problem at Gallows Gate. The problem with those two back to back in season 2 is every time it was a female with working with them in the investigation twice. So it was the best friend at the problem at Gallows Gate. Then Mother Redcap, it was the police officer. So technically, 2 people working with them on the case. That was unfortunate. But I don't know. I think the problem at Gallows Gate only needed 1 episode, not 2.
I'm trying to remember the problem at Gallows Gate. Which one was?
That's the one where the guy jumps out of a window, fakes his own death.
Oh yeah.
They go to look at badgers. That's a really good one. Could have been done in an episode though. I don't think it needed to be 2 episodes.
I like Time Waits for Norman.
Yeah, it's a cracking episode.
Is that the one where he seals himself in the wall?
No. That's Jack in the Box. That's season 1. That's very early on.
What's the normal one?
The Time Waits for Norman is the guy who
obsessed with time.
guy who's obsessed won't look at clock hands.
Oh, he went to Wimpy. That's
the
like played up for a laugh. That one, I like that one. That's the good thing about Jonathan Creek. It's never the same type of story each week. Sometimes it's a locked room. Sometimes it's something really different.
But Dan and I actually used that. Well, when I know to forget hate as a code for was it the alarm or was it for a safe, Dan? That we used that idea of words as numbers, or numbers as words.
It was flat alarm, wasn't it?
It was the flat, yeah, might have been, yeah. So we did that. Oh, when I know to forget hate, when I know to sever hate. It was.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's how nerdy we are about Jonathan Creek.
Mm.
We are that sad.
I mean, I love the theme tune as well. Dun 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 dun.
One of my favourite pieces of classical.
Wait, hold on. That's Mary Poppins. That's not the Jonathan Creek theme. Hold on.
You're looking for the Dance Macabre.
Yeah.
Great piece of music.
What? Why have I done the Mary Poppins Chimney Chin Chin song? I do love the Jonathan Creek
crossover. What a crossover!
That would be brilliant.
Mary.
And is it wrong of me to say that Alan Davis is a sex symbol in an understated way?
I never really thought of him that way, but feel free.
You're asking the wrong people, to be honest.
I don't know. I'm just thinking like something my wife said the other week. Also, like I like the painting one where the painting goes missing.
The Scented Room.
Yes.
The one with Bob Monkhouse.
Yes. Oh, Bob Monkhouse. I cheered when I saw him. Oh, he's brilliant. But I just love how they challenge you to how the hell do you get out of that one then? Go solve that one. And I've never got one.
That's one of the few where I actually got an inkling of where it was before it got there because of the comment about the spam sandwich. I went, well, there's only one way. There's only one place you could put it then.
Yeah.
And that was one of the few times where the clue he was giving to Caroline Quentin's character actually gave me some idea of where the hell the show was going.
Yeah, I suppose, and it's very British, as Dan pointed out. There's, no hysterics. It's just a very British way of politely getting on with it, you know what I mean?
What did you think of season 3?
I thought it was the best one I've seen so far. Yeah.
I thought Ghost Forge, yes, and The Miracle of Crooked Lane, hell yes.
Yes, definitely.
But the other 4, I was always a little bit... I mean, The Curious Tale of Mr. Spearfish, which is the one where the guy sold his soul to the devil.
Yeah.
Now, I kind of liked it. It was... you realise quite early on that the whole devil thing must be a misdirection. There's something else going on. But I kind of liked it, but it seemed a little bit too hammy. Yeah. And then The Eyes of Tiresias, I love the idea of the guy recording his own murder and then committing suicide to make it look like it was somebody else. But it just... There were so many things that had to happen in a certain order for that woman to hear it and that then to get back to Jonathan and all of those things. You want to suspend your disbelief, but there's sometimes you have to look at it and go, there's too many things that had to happen in that order. And if just one of them hadn't, this whole thing falls apart.
The thing is, sometimes Jonathan Creek does strive on its silliness. It's not afraid to have a laugh, like Dan said.
I didn't think that it did that with the first 2 seasons.
It balances it
was
quite
funny. Well. It was funny, but all of the things for the vast majority stayed within the realms of
plausibility.
Whereas with the 3rd series, suddenly you're looking at aliens and the devil and Greek prophecy and shit like that, which although are enjoyable, I was slightly more incredulous about those. But then Ghost Forge is an absolute brilliant episode. And the one after that, Miracle in Crooked Lane, that is one of my absolute faves. So good.
I am now wondering, because you guys are ahead of me, why? Because obviously the cast are the same. Do you think So, if you feel the writing's worse in season 3, what are your opinions on the rest of it after Carla and Quentin left? Did the writing get better again, in your opinions?
The writing isn't bad in season 3. The writing is fantastic.
Okay.
It's that what they're dealing with is I'm a little more incredulous about the subject matter. So the devil, all of the entire first series is about locked room mysteries, people disappearing. How the hell did that thing happen at that time? The most incredulous being the House of Monkeys one. All the others are to do with disappearing people, that kind of stuff. And then suddenly you're going on to a whole different level of that with the devil and the Greek mythology. And I'm a massive fan of Greek mythology, so I loved it. But it seemed like they were kind of trying to go more extreme in that third season for whatever reason. And then this how can I put this? The writing is strong in every single series of Jonathan Creek. But season 3, it was some of the subject matter was a little strange for me. But I wanted to ask, because hopefully you and Dan have both seen this, what did you think of the Christmas special between season 2 and 3, Black Canary?
Long. I fell asleep the first time. Not because it's a bad episode. It's just because you have to concentrate. You can't watch Jonathan Creek when you're tired. It's not one of those shows that you can just turn it off, can you? You have to be paying attention the whole time.
You have to be paying attention, or you're going to miss the crux of it. Yeah.
Because I work, and so when we've had dinner and everything, I tend to watch TV late in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes with something you need to concentrate on, your brain is so tired from work you don't get to. I watched Black Canary 3 times because I watched the beginning of it and then I came to the bit where he told me how they did it. So then I had to go back and pretend I didn't see it.
See, I don't mind watching it knowing what's going to happen because then you sit there and go, "Oh yeah, they did give you a clue to that."
I thought it was really good. I know some people thought it was too long. Some people don't like the feature-length episodes, but
I disagree with that. But
I feel the feature-length ones gives it more time to bulk it out a bit because that's the one thing about Sherlock that they do really well. They give it an hour and a half.
Yeah,
it's a movie, and that's the thing. When I see all the specials are really long, I get excited about that because I love a feature-length Jonathan Creek.
So that's the thing. You were saying about the problems at Gallows Gate could have been done in one.
Yeah.
I don't agree with you, but it could have been done as a special.
Yeah, they didn't need to make it into a 2-parter.
They could have done it in an hour and a half, but they needed more than the one episode.
Because they
to get all of the intricacies that are there in that story, you needed longer.
They could have done the first part in the whole. The slow burn is fine because you're setting it up, but you could have easier done that in a special. I agree with you on that one.
Yeah. But I don't think you could have done all of the really good intricate bits in a one episode. Also, I realised I rewatched actually the problem at Gallows Gate a couple of days ago, and they've got that character Blind Huey Harper, the jazz musician who's not actually blind. I knew I recognised the guy, and I was sitting there going, I know he's familiar, and then I realised it's the guy from The Wire. Lester Freeman from The Wire. Yeah. It took me ages. I was sitting there going, I know him. Obviously, he was also the Chancellor in what's it called? Dark Materials.
Yes.
But yeah, that just amused me because I knew I recognised the guy. I was sitting there going, I know him from somewhere. But of course, that was 20 years ago, so he looks a hell of a lot younger than he does now. Anyway, yeah, that was just an enjoyable aside. But yeah, I absolutely love Black Canary. It's one of my favourite things that they did. I love the idea of using mirrors and an identical and a perfectly symmetrical garden to make something happen. It just works for me on a purist level. It's like, yeah, love that.
What about you, Daniel? Have you gone silent? What do you want to say?
Well,
Sorry,
Black
buddy.
Canary for me is. I mean, it's not in my favourite episodes list,
Okay.
but it's not far off.
I mean, you and I are going to vary because the appearance of Rick Mail just improves any TV show for me by 10, and him playing the police detective in Black Canary just raises it up a level.
It's one of my most sort of satisfying. Here's how they did it.
Yes.
I like that bit of it most.
Yeah, but that's what I love about Jonathan Greek the most, as a general rule, anyway.
Not to put any spoilers there.
Well, we haven't said how they did it. Well, I did, but you didn't.
Yeah, you're being also careful for me because I'm walking into the second half of the series.
Well, yeah, once we get to season 4, once we get to after season 3, from where you haven't seen, we will try and be as cautious about giving you spoilers as is humanly possible.
Yeah, definitely, because I can always come back and update you on the syndrome when I get past what.
So, Dan, now that we're moving kind of past season 3, Satan's Chimney, which was the second Christmas special they did, it's a 2-hour-long one, so it's the longest episode they'd done. Thoughts?
I'm going to be honest with you.
Go on.
I've done too much thinking and things about this too long ago. I didn't refresh quick enough. So you're going to have to remind me so I can then...
Right, so Satan's Chimney is the one that's set initially on a film set where the woman gets shot while she's in a locked room and it's being recorded. Then they go up to her home in Scotland, or Stephen Burkoff plays in it, and he plays his home in Scotland, which has a historical lock room with a chimney. Remember this? So the Puritans used to burn Catholics by taking that into the room, tying them to the floor, and then leaving them in there. And when they came back, they'd been burnt. Their bodies were burned away, leaving only singed ropes, and nobody could work out where the bodies had vanished to. So they said that they called it Satan's Chimney because it was people being burned up by the devil.
Yes, I remember this now.
And then they challenge that guy who's an escapologist to chain himself in that room and see if he can get out, and the story goes from there.
I think basically we're looking at one of our best kind of villain performances.
Yeah, true. I'll give you that. I'm just, obviously we're trying to not give away too much to you, Ben.
I also think that Klaus is fantastic in this. I think that Bill Bailey does an awesome job.
Oh yeah, I've forgotten he was in. This is the first one he appears in. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, no, it's a 2-hour episode, but it's good.
Yeah.
And there's lots of really good misdirections and things in there, but there's enough in there for you to kind of get glimpses of where it's going if you watch closely enough.
Okay.
It's like I'm one of those watchers who I've always been into it, but I've only ever gotten about 75% of the way there by the time that it's revealed.
Yeah. That's how I am most of the time with Jonathan Greek. Every now and then you kind of go, wait a minute, that means it's got to be that. But that happens very rarely because they keep misdirecting you so much.
It's great.
Right, so season 4, it kind of, maybe you'll disagree with me on this, Dan. They put more comedy into season 4. they went for the laughs a little bit more, because Adrian Edmondson character is just so tone deaf.
I think it is kind of go with the flow. Who is the recurring character in this season? Who are they being played by? What strengths can we play to in this? Like, we aren't talking about a script which was completely rigid, Pride and Prejudice kind of way.
Yeah.
Anyone who had the chops was allowed to give it a bit of a whammy, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and Adrian Edmondson sure as hell did.
But yeah, so I think that was a natural progression because of who they had in there at that point.
Yeah. I love the fact that they got Adrian Edmondson as well. I always wondered whether that was him trying to one-up Rick Mayall, because Rick Mayall got rave reviews for Black Canary, and I always wondered if Adrian Edmondson was like, right, watch this. It's the kind of thing I can imagine them doing.
So which one stands out for you from
season 4?
Yeah.
It's kind of tricky. I mean, I quite like the idea of the first one, which is the coonskin cap. I quite like the setup of that.
Just the silhouette.
Yes, that's the one. And Gorgon's Wood, which was the last episode, the way they made the thing vanish, I really enjoyed. But a lot of the episode I wasn't quite so sold on. My favourite of season 4 is almost certainly the Tailor's Dummy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which is a brilliant episode and such an inventive way of taking out the person who gets taken out in that story. The only thing that kind of annoys me slightly is they use one of the people being put in danger because of their diabetes, but clearly had very little idea of the dangers of diabetes. If that makes sense.
Fair enough.
Because they have their insulin stolen. Now that would it would take 2 or 3 days for the lack of insulin to cause somebody any real harm. If they weren't eating any food, and inside of a locked room you're not going to be eating. If you gave them the insulin, that would be dangerous. So it was at a time when, even though it was in like the early 2000s, the understanding of diabetes was clearly not that good. And so that was my only thing, was going, well, if I am a diabetic, I wouldn't be worried by that. Fuck, that wouldn't scare me at all. But yeah, so that was the only thing that got me was that. But the Tailor's Dummy, I think, is probably the cleverest episode of season 4. Although I do quite like the episode with Jack D in it.
Which one's Jack D's episode?
The angel hair one where he's married to the pop star.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Brilliant performance by him.
I think brilliant performance by them. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Hilarious relationship.
But Jack D I thought was absolutely fantastic in that. And part of that was the fact that I'd never really seen Jack D as an actor.
Yeah, he has been as an actor before in other things. I've seen him in a few things as an actor.
Yeah, but this might have been the first thing he did where he was actually acting. I don't know.
He's surprisingly good, isn't he, as an actor?
Yeah, that's the thing. When I first saw him on screen, I thought, I'm just going to think this is Jack D in a TV show. And within a couple of minutes, I'd forgotten that it was Jack D and I was watching a character.
Because as a stand-up comedian, he doesn't show a lot of emotion, but as an actor, he's got a surprising range.
Yeah. No, he's actually got a very good emotional range. So, props to Jack D.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So, what was your favourite of season 4 then?
Probably Coonskin Cap, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like
a very ingenious murder. You have to give them credit.
I judged it by mostly just how much I forget to write notes on it. when I'm watching it. And judging on that, Coonskin Cap's probably in my top 3.
Okay, interesting. I don't think any
And
of season
Zoe
4 makes
Forget
makes the top of my lists.
Mm.
That's just, but once again, that's just personal.
Coonskin Cap is number 3 for me.
So what's number 1 and number 2? I'm intrigued.
Number 1 is The Wrestler's Tomb.
Yes.
So the original episode.
Yes.
Oh, it's brilliant. Oh.
Sorry, but just there's 3 specific reasons why, and it's got almost nothing to do with the case or the conclusion or anything like that.
Go on.
It's because it introduces you to
It does an amazing job of introducing all the main points you need in one episode. That's true.
And it's because it introduces you to Carol and Quentin's. And then it also has Anthony Head.
Yes, which it does make for good TV, I grant you. And number 2?
Number 2 is House of Monkeys.
A very good episode once again. I will give you credit.
And it's got Victor Meldrew's wife in it as well, which is always nice. And she gets to have a tug on Jonathan Creek's penis. It's all good times.
Trust you to bring down the tone of the podcast, Ben.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, sadly, yes, that is exactly what you want.
Oh, I got a funny story actually with the actress. I can't think of her name right now. In this episode, House of Monkeys, she used to come. I used to work at Sainsbury's Wimbledon, and one day she turned up in our store, and we didn't want to bother her, but we were, when you hide around the end of an aisle in a supermarket, we were just making sure it was her. And we confirmed, yeah, that's Victor Meldrew's wife from One Foot in the Grave. Cool. So somebody went, I don't believe it. And obviously, I'm the idiot that didn't run away. So she's turned around and seen me and give me the death stare. Yeah, and I'm just standing there. Everyone else has run off.
Ben, that has got to be the name of this podcast, The Death Stare of Annette Crosby.
Yeah, there we go. Done. Sold. So I would like to apologise to her if she ever remembers that she listens to this podcast. Wasn't
Do you know
me.
how many times that day she'd probably already heard that?
It's most probably at the time Chris Barry said, "There's not a day where I don't hear the words."
It really doesn't matter what number you float. I don't believe it.
I don't believe it. I bet you it's like when Chris Barry said that he doesn't have a day on a train station platform where he doesn't hear "Smirkered" when he waits for a train. So, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, right. I know we're doing this slightly linearly, but it kind of has to be that way a little bit with this one.
Yeah, we have to jump about a bit.
So 2009, after another 5-year hiatus.
Another 5 year, you're Irish now, yeah?
Another 5-year hiatus, yes.
Oh dear. Okay, Ted.
Comes up with The Grinning Man. Now, Dan, what do you think of this one?
The Grinning Man.
Oh, hold on, Dan. What was your third one?
My third?
House of Monkeys.
His third one was The Coonskin Cap.
Oh, okay, cool, done.
Yeah.
That's how we came to that question.
Sorry.
That's all right. So The Grinning Man is the one that introduces Sheridan Smith.
But also, we're back to what made Jonathan Creek great in the first place.
Yep.
Man. That's what was more significant to me, and that's what Sheridan Smith allowed for.
Yes.
That's what her character allowed for in this one. It was back to basics. What made this show great? Let's do some more of that. We haven't done that in 2 seasons.
Yeah. No, I'm totally with you on that.
So it's locked room.
You a fan of? Did you see the end? Well, it's hard to say the ending because there were 2 or 3 mysteries that got solved, but the vanishing thing. Did you work it out before the end?
Oh no, No.
No, that was one of my absolute best reveals ever.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved that reveal because you realise just as he's realising it, and you go, "Oh no, don't do that."
Yeah.
But obviously, the character on TV can't hear you, so you're just shouting at your own television. But maybe that's just me.
But I think Sheridan Smith's character is awesome. The introduction of Sheridan Smith's character is a boon to the show.
Yep, absolutely.
And we do get back to that sort of let's go hyper nerdy on this.
It reminds you why you miss Caroline Quentin. Although you didn't feel like you missed Caroline Quentin in season 4 because Julia Sawalha was amazing.
Yeah.
But you realised that you had missed that type of character.
And that way of doing that type of character.
Yes.
Just chef's kiss.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, she's not in any way copying Caroline Quentin. She's doing her own version of it.
Exactly, yeah.
So it doesn't feel like a rerun. It feels like, okay, this is a variation on a similar theme, but yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway, so because for me, and this might be controversial, Grinning Man is possibly my favourite episode ever of Jonathan Creek.
Oh no, it's number 5 on my list.
I need to ask, what's number 4?
Time Waits for Norman. I love it.
Yeah, no, I do love that. But Grinning Man, maybe it's because it was going back to what I loved about the original series after so long. Grinning Man, I have it in really high regard.
Mm-hmm.
I hold it really high up in my estimation. But I need to kind of, I'll have a look at it in a second and see if I can actually work out a top 5. Anyway, moving on to the Judas Tree, which I believe was 2010. So it was 1 year after the Grinning Man. There was a 5-year hiatus. Then there was a Christmas special. Oh no, a New Year's Day special, which was the Grinning Man. And then there was an Easter special, which was the Judas Tree. What did you think of that one?
I thought the house was wonderful.
Okay.
Like honestly, this one, just the place that they go to film this one is.
Yeah, it's nice.
I love that sort of Egyptian curse kind of feel to
Yeah.
how things were being presented initially, and this is the story that he's going to blow the will off of, but what a story!
And then it turns out that story wasn't the story.
Yeah. Just.
I mean, I had the difficulty of, I remember watching this episode at the time, and I was down at my mum's, and she wasn't like fully paying attention to the episode. She was on, but she was in the room, but it wasn't on. And then when a clue comes up to do with the Egyptian murder, like the dedication.
Mm.
You know that the woman from 150 years ago has written a book.
Yes.
And there's that dedication at the beginning to
Oh yes, sorry, that's what you mean. But okay.
Yeah. My mom looked up at that moment and went, "Oh, that's the chemical symbol for." I was like, "Thanks." So completely by chance, my mum basically told me how that murder was done because she wasn't paying attention to the episode. Well, that's interesting. So yeah, that kind of damaged that episode slightly for me, but it gave away one of the big reveals.
I think it just kind of proved that they were having a second wind at this point.
Yes.
In terms of that episode, it's fantastic.
It's a little bit hammy, but they kind of write that off because it's from the mind of a hammy person.
Yeah.
So they get away with being hammy by being self-aware enough to say this is why it's hammy. So that kind of, because I remember watching it and being a little bit like, this is hamming it up, and then they kind of justify themselves. And then we have the Clue of the Savant's Thumb, which I think, and someone could correct me if they want, is the first time an actor has appeared in Jonathan Creek. A main actor has appeared in Jonathan Creek playing two different characters. Because you've got Nigel Planer playing the main new guy, and he also was the blind date for the episode with one of Ben's favourite episodes with the dead body in the cabinet.
Yes.
So I think this is one of the first times that you get an actor returning in a completely different role.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's just because I'm a nerd. That's
well, at least it's Nigel Planer, who could be literally anybody.
Yeah, but I'm a nerd for that kind of thing. So I automatically noticed it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the biggest excitement is trying to figure it out. And I think that engages my brain to enjoy the show coming up because they set it up at the beginning and then you just have to unlock it.
But Ben, you have to watch the rest of them.
I know,
because
I love it. I
know that you love Caroline Quentin, but you've heard me and Dan talk about the positives and negatives of the stuff that's come after. And we're going to touch on season 5 in a second.
Yeah.
But there are positives and negatives to all of the seasons of Jonathan Creek. And Julia Sawalha is a very different proposition to Caroline Quentin. But then Sheridan Smith kind of pulls it back to the kind of stuff that you really like.
Oh, see, now when I saw Sheridan...
playoff between Sheridan Smith and Joanna Lumley, though.
Yeah.
That's true. Okay. Savant's Thumb, Joanna Lumley plays one of the characters. And
if Sheridan Smith had been after Caroline Quentin, I think I would have kept watching. If she was the next one after Caroline Quentin, I think I would have come straight over and kept going.
I think you need to give Julia Sawalha a chance because, like I say, Satan's Chimney is a really good special. And then that character then has a natural continuation. It's a shame she only did one season, but I can kind of see why.
I will, though, because I trust you two's judgment. Not sure it is all the time, but you two, yeah.
But what did you think of the Savant's Thumb, Dan? Because I'm torn on that one. I like it, and at the same time, it's not quite on the same level for me as Judas Tree and the Grinning Man. What do you think?
If I'm judging it against them, then yeah. It doesn't quite measure up to them, but I still think it's Jonathan Creek done right.
Well, yeah. Well, once again, that the Clue of the Savant's Thumb gets a boost from the fact that Rick Mayall appears in it again, which is just, yeah. Must have been one of his last roles, I guess. But anyway, yeah. The character Gideon Pike is one of the best recurring characters they ever came up with Rick Mayall. So good. Yeah, Pike. Yeah, sorry, not did I say Pike? Yeah. Sorry, I was watching an episode of Dad's Army earlier. Anyway, right. So we come to season 5, which was only a 3-episode series. What did you think of this one, Dan?
Well, season 5, I haven't seen an incredible. Which episodes were season 5?
The Letters of Septimus Noon, which is the one with the lady in the musical who is found in her hotel room with a knife in her, another locked room job. Or not a knife in her, but a knife wound.
I haven't seen all of them.
Okay.
Right, you're on your own with this one.
season 5 is not as good as the rest, but it suffers from the fact that Sarah Alexander's character is reluctant to let Jonathan Creek do his thing, and yet is there with him because she is the sidekick. It's still got strong performances and it's still pretty good, but it's akin to season 4 in where it is in my estimation, because once again, it's slightly incredulous things about it. But it's all three of the episodes are enjoyable. They're highly enjoyable, and I'd recommend watching them. And then the last one was the one they did in 2016, which was The Demon's Roost,
which I have seen.
What do you think of that one?
I don't know if it's just how fucking starved I am for Jonathan Creek, but it was. I loved it.
Yeah. You know what? It was just, in many ways, it was just a complete reworking of Satan's Chimney.
Kind of.
But that didn't harm it. No, I literally finished watching Demon's Roost. I started watching it at 5 o'clock this evening when I finished work. And so I finished it about 7:15 this evening. So I've literally just rewatched it and I did enjoy it. If that's where they end it, I'd be sad, but it's not a bad way to go out.
No.
Personally, I would love to see, I don't know how you'd do it, but I'd love to see a special that brought back Adam Klaus, Caroline Quentin, and Sheridan Smith, and possibly even Julia Sawala. Somehow. But I don't quite know how you'd do that. Unless you had Jonathan Creek fake his own death and all of them were at the funeral or something, but I don't know.
No idea. None at all. When it comes to ideas for what you could do next in Jonathan Creek, I'm out. I'm not even touching that.
I would love to see a Sherlock Jonathan Creek crossover. I know it wouldn't work, but I would love to see those two bounce off of each other just a little bit, being terribly British. You're not telling me you wouldn't want to see that?
I mean, if we're going to do that, then are we just going to do a British off?
Look at my big coat. Yeah, look at my big coat. Look at my... I've got more curly hair than you. I've got more curly hair than you.
I can be more deferential and put my foot in my mouth more times in a single minute than you can.
You look like Brian May. You look like Stephen's Doctor Strange. Yeah. Okay, yeah, maybe not.
Oh, stupid bit of trivia. You know the coat Jonathan Creek wears in season 1?
Yeah.
You know that was actually Alan Davis's and he showed up for day 1 of filming wearing it. And they went, yeah, that's perfect.
That's it. You got the job, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I love stupid
on the British off. I think Nick Frost would win.
Yes.
I don't know. Simon Pegg would probably be in there as well.
Yeah.
You'd have to give him some props.
Yeah. Just if my money's going on someone, it's going on Nick Frost.
Nah, for me it's Rowan Atkinson. Or Hugh Laurie.
Oh shit. Oh shit, I haven't thought through my choice. I'm gonna lose.
No, you haven't.
Hang on. Billy Connolly.
Billy Connolly, is that the one you're going with?
Yes, and my argument is that he has influenced so much of the British public to be more like him over the years that Britain has become more like Billy Connolly.
See, I wouldn't say that Billy Connolly is archetypally British. He's archetypally Scottish. Scotland is almost entirely based around Billy Connolly. Everyone's perception of what Scotland is based off of Billy Connolly. But I don't know if England is. if that makes sense.
Oh, it definitely spilled over to Northern Ireland.
Yeah, well, that's a Celtic thing.
Right. Anyway,
Right.
derailed everything.
Apologies. So,
It's what we're good at.
yeah. So, overall, what do we think of Jonathan Creek as a show?
Why haven't you watched it yet?
Top tier.
What do you mean, why haven't I watched it yet? I've watched every fucking episode.
No,
I
not
think
you.
he's asking the
Not you.
audience.
Asking the audience. Why haven't you watched it yet?
My apologies, I'm losing the plot.
It's an amazing show.
An amazing shot.
And you definitely should be.
It's got a horny magician in it. Adam Kloss. He does steal a lot of the show. I especially love his sister. Can I just scream out? It looks like his mother. I'm not having that. That's meant to be his sister.
I think the idea is that he's actually older than he lets on.
Yeah, but it's still funny. And he has a tiger in his bathroom, so it's pretty cool.
And he put a canary up the Queen's skirt.
Oh, yeah. I love him.
He is a good character. I will not dispute this.
I feel like this is where it would have gone even with Anthony Stewart Head being in the main role. I just feel like they wanted to get him filthy.
Oh, yeah, but Anthony Stewart Head played it beautifully sleazy. Like, properly beautifully sleazy.
It's beautiful, and it's just a good show.
Yeah.
If you're looking for an action-packed show, you need to go elsewhere.
Well, that's not exactly fair. There's a fair bit of action in these shows.
Yeah, I know, but you know what I mean. This is for clever
This is for
people.
your thinking man's investigator.
Like Sherlock, you need to bring your brain with you for this.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else that we really need to say about this show?
You might need to bring your brain with you for this, but it does take your brain for the ride as well.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay, and I would like to see Caroline Quinton come back and shoot the horsewoman. Thank you.
She's not a horsewoman. Will you stop it?
The opinions of Ben
that
Gilman
insulting
are
that someone is
entirely
attractive
wrong and should
as
be
her.
shunned immediately in many emails.
I got some emails, but we'll do them next week to keep this episode on point. Okay. Well, next week is our big 50th. Big 5-0. I can't believe it's been a year already. I do think at this point Dan's got a better track record than Troy in percentage-wise of turning up to these things.
Probably. And he didn't even start until like the 14th.
Yeah, he's got to have passed Troy by now. Surely.
Doesn't matter.
We're not slagging him off, but surely. Yeah. Next week
we'll be...
No, we love Troy.
No, we love Troy. Really, we're not slagging him off. He gets a kick out of us taking the piss out of him, so it's all good. Next week we'll be joined by Alex DeToro again. She's after great demand from everyone. We've decided to bring her back. She was always going to come back anyway. She's going to join us for the 50th. And we'll see if she can replace Troy permanently. Also joking. No, I'm joking. Hopefully he'll be back next week because the energy level is a bit down this week.
Yeah.
It's a indie film. I feel like with Troy's here, we're like a big Michael Bay movie, big bombastic explosions, excitement. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, can't really follow that. Right, so it's goodbye for me.
It's bye from me.
Have a great one, everyone.
Get caught up the creek. Bye-bye. See you next week for the 50th.